The Tower of Babel. In the earliest ages of humanity, long before the rise of Egypt, before Sumer carved the first symbols into clay, before kingdoms, borders, and tribes existed, the world was said to be united. According to ancient traditions preserved across civilizations, humanity once spoke a single language, shared a single purpose, and acted almost as one people. It was an age of extraordinary ambition, where human beings were not yet divided by culture or tongue. And it was in this rare moment of unity that mankind attempted something so daring, so monumental, that it echoed through thousands of years of myth, scripture, and archaeology. This is the story of the Tower of Babel, a colossal structure that was said to pierce the sky itself, a tower built to reach the heavens. Whether it was a symbolic myth or a record of a forgotten ancient megastructure, the legend of Babel stands as one of the most mysterious stories humanity has ever inherited. The story begins in a wide plain called Shinar, believed to correspond to ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. According to the ancient account, humanity migrated eastward until they found a great plain rich in resources, perfect for building. But instead of settling for small settlements, they began to imagine something far grander. The people declared, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top will reach the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves so that we will not be scattered across the earth." Some translations say, "Let us build a tower with its top in the heavens." Others say simply, "A tower that reaches the sky." The message is the same. Humanity wanted a monument to its own greatness. This was not just a building. It was a challenge, a declaration, a technological and spiritual project beyond anything that had been attempted in their world. They developed new methods of construction, using brick instead of stone and bitumen as mortar. They organized labor on a massive scale. They built workshops, kilns, scaffolding, and transport systems. For the first time in human memory, the entire species turned its focus toward a single purpose: constructing a tower capable of reaching the realm of the gods. But what exactly was this tower? Was it simply a massive ziggurat like those found in ancient Babylon? Was it a mythologized version of a real megastructure? Or was it something deeper, perhaps a symbolic memory of a pre-flood civilization that attempted architectural feats far beyond what we associate with early humans? Some historians argue that the Tower of Babel refers to the Great Ziggurat of Babylon, known as Edemenenki. Its name means house of the foundation of heaven and earth. Ancient records describe it as an extraordinary structure rising in terraces, crowned with a temple at its summit. Archaeologists believe it may have soared up to 300 feet tall, unheard of for its time. Yet even that incredible structure falls short of the cosmic, sky-piercing tower described in ancient texts. Others propose that the Babel story may reflect a much older memory, passed down orally for thousands of years, from the earliest civilizations that existed before written history. This theory suggests that the tower might have been a remnant of a technologically advanced society that existed before a global catastrophe, perhaps the same event remembered in flood myths across the world. The story might not be about Babylon alone, but about humanity's first attempt at reaching the heavens during an earlier epoch. According to the ancient narrative, the tower grew taller and taller, rising in defiance of nature itself. The people of that time believed they could ascend to the divine realm not through spiritual purity or divine selection, but through sheer human achievement. They believed they could build their way into immortality. But as the tower rose, so did a growing concern in the heavenly realms. The ancient story describes a moment where the divine looked down upon the unified human race and said, "Behold, they are one people and they all have one language. And this is what they begin to do. Nothing that they propose to do will be impossible for them." This statement is both awe-inspiring and chilling. To suggest that nothing humanity attempted would be impossible implied that humanity had reached a level of capability, organization, and technological mastery that posed a cosmic-level threat. So according to the ancient account, the divine council chose not to destroy humanity, but to disrupt their unity. Instead of fire or flood, instead of lightning or earthquake, the punishment was far subtler and far more devastating. The languages of humanity were suddenly divided. Workers could no longer understand one another. Commands became confusion. Orders turned into chaos. Miscommunication halted construction. Teams broke apart. Productivity collapsed. Suddenly, the entire project fell into disorder. The tower that had once risen confidently toward the heavens now stood silent, incomplete, surrounded by a city whose purpose had vanished. Humanity scattered across the earth, forming cultures, tribes, and nations, each with its own language, each with its own identity. The great unified world was gone forever. The tower was abandoned, left as a monument to human ambition and its downfall. But was the confusion of languages a literal event or a symbolic one? Linguists point to the fact that human languages are extraordinarily diverse and seem to have branched rapidly in early human history. Could the Babel story be an ancient way of explaining humanity's sudden linguistic diversification? Or was the confusion of tongues a metaphor for the collapse of a global civilization? Some researchers believe that the scattering of humanity may refer to a real historical event, a collapse of early human unity caused by climate change, conflict, or a disaster that forced people to migrate across the continents. The mystery deepens when we consider archaeological evidence. The remains of enormous ziggurats have been found across Mesopotamia. The ziggurat of Ur, though smaller, hints at what a megatower might have looked like. The ruins of Etimenenki, though devastated by time, suggest a structure far larger than any typical ancient building. But beyond these official structures, there are strange and unexplained ancient foundations found deeper in the region, levels of construction that seem older than the civilizations that supposedly built them. Some layers suggest advanced engineering, precision leveling, and architectural planning that seem out of place for the early Bronze Age. Are these the remnants of the original Babel, or merely older phases of Mesopotamian cities? There is also the question of why so many ancient civilizations share similar myths. The Maya spoke of a time when humans tried to reach the sky and were punished. The Greeks told of the Elodai twins who tried to stack mountains to assault the heavens. The Hindu scriptures speak of the Asuras who attempted to ascend to heaven through construction. These parallels raise a haunting possibility. Perhaps the story of Babel is not unique to one culture, but a universal memory encoded in humanity's subconscious. Perhaps there really was a moment in ancient prehistory when humans attempted something so monumental that it imprinted itself into global myth. The technological question remains fascinating. Could ancient humans even attempt a tower that reached the heavens? Modern engineers say that building a tower miles tall is technically possible with advanced materials, though extremely difficult. But ancient brick and bitumen would not support such heights. Unless, of course, the story preserves a distorted memory of a different kind of structure, one built with materials or methods now lost. Some fringe researchers believe that advanced ancient civilizations possessed knowledge we do not fully understand today. Geopolymer chemistry, vibrational engineering, sonic lifting technologies, or other lost techniques. If any of these were true, then the Tower of Babel might have been more than a myth. Even if the tower was not a literal skyscraper, it may have served a spiritual purpose. Perhaps it was intended as a cosmic connection point, a symbolic staircase linking Earth to the divine realm. Ancient ziggurats were considered gateways for the gods, places where heaven touched Earth. The top platforms were often painted blue to mimic the sky. Priests ascended to the summit to perform rituals meant to draw divine presence down to Earth. If the Tower of Babel pushed this concept to the extreme, then it may represent humanity's attempt to force open the gateway to the heavens. Centuries after its abandonment, the ruins of the tower became a symbol of chaos, division, and lost potential. Greek historians describe the remains of an enormous, unfinished tower in Babylon. Early travelers attempted to measure its base, claiming it stretched hundreds of meters in each direction. Later kings attempted to rebuild it, including Nebuchadnezzar II, who restored many of Babylon's grand monuments. But despite his efforts, the tower never regained its former greatness. Eventually, the forces of time erased much of the structure. Wars burned it, floods weakened it, successive civilizations dismantled parts of it for building materials. By the time of Alexander the Great, the tower was already in ruins. He planned to rebuild it but died before the project began. After that, the site fell into silence, swallowed by the sands of history. Today, only fragments remain, buried beneath layers of Babylonian earth. But the mystery of the Tower of Babel continues to inspire scholars, archaeologists, linguists, theologians, and storytellers. Its symbolism is universal: the dangers of pride, the fragility of unity, the limits of human ambition, and the consequences of overreaching. Yet it also represents something else: human potential. In the story, the divine acknowledges that humanity, united, could achieve anything. That is perhaps the most extraordinary message of all. A tower that reached the heavens may have been viewed as threatening, but it was undeniably a testament to what humans could accomplish when they shared common purpose. Some researchers today propose that the world may be moving back toward a kind of Babel moment. Global communication networks, shared digital languages, and unified knowledge systems are reconnecting humanity. If the ancient story is a warning, then its lessons remain relevant. But if the story is instead a reminder of human greatness, then the Tower of Babel stands as a symbol of what humanity is capable of achieving. The question remains: was the Tower of Babel a real structure that once rose above the Mesopotamian plains? Was it a symbol of an ancient civilization lost in time? Or was it a metaphysical concept representing spiritual ascent? The truth may be a combination of all three. But one thing is certain: the story has survived for thousands of years because it touches something deep in the human spirit, the desire to reach beyond our limits, to touch the divine, and to leave a mark that lasts longer than stone. The ruins may have crumbled, but the legend still stands tall. And so, the Tower of Babel remains one of the greatest ancient mysteries, a project abandoned but never forgotten, a monument to ambition, unity, downfall, and memory. Whether as myth or history, it continues to live in the collective imagination of humanity. And perhaps somewhere under the vast plains of ancient Babylon, hidden beneath the earth, the foundation stones of that legendary tower still lie waiting to be rediscovered.